2002. It's a big boom to the tourism here. I mean, with the festival.
Y'all niggas ain't looking for real shit,
people
bro.
have embraced it. You know, you still have skeptics, which is fine. I mean, you know, I'm not out to convince anybody of anything. I mean, everything in the museum is for people to decide for themselves.
With the help of the internet, Mothman has become a global phenomenon. Online rumors circulate frequently, some claiming that he was spotted before the Chernobyl disaster and even in the smoke of the towers at 9/11. Most recently, the largest number of Mothman sightings in one area occurred in Chicago in 2000.
I love this nigga right here.
I've never heard of this shit. Yeah, it's a YouTuber named Zach D Films. Everybody knows Zach D Films. His shorts have been going crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's like he just give you unnecessary information and he be like, oh wow, I fuck with that. But he had a short that was like talking about whatchamacallit, the Mothman. This shit right here, and I seen this shit.
A group of friends suddenly spotted a creature with large wings and glowing red eyes standing in the road. Terrified, they drove away, but the creature took flight and followed them. It swooped over them repeatedly, emitting a horrifying screech. They finally lost it, but were left shaken, convinced they had encountered something supernatural. This terrifying case became one of the most famous Mothman sightings. These unverified sightings began to spread fear throughout West Virginia. Now, most believe it was simply a local legend fueled by fear and hysteria. But with no concrete evidence, the Mothman remains an eerie mystery.
No, don't let that last part discourage you. I've never heard of this Mothman nigga, so I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I've been in my conspiracy bag since I was a youngin'. So I'm like, what the fuck is this? Mothman, right? You know, I've heard monsters, Loch Ness monsters. Every nigga heard of the Loch Ness monster. But
it did have.
There's another video I really wanted to watch, BuzzFeed, but BuzzFeed, like, they be copywriting shit and I can't even. So fuck them niggas.
The biggest.
Not fuck them niggas. You know, they should still go crazy, but I can't even.
Red eyes.
There's a 6-foot bird and massive wings.
And I asked her how big the wingspan was. She said about 10 to 12 feet.
Is Point Pleasant haunted?
Yes, very much.
I'm here in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, the little Appalachian town with a big monster history. It's home to one of America's most notorious legends, Mothman. Described as a humanoid creature with massive wings and glowing red eyes.
See, that's how easy I can scare a nigga.
This man with wings was first spotted in this area in the 1960s and has been a fixture of life in Point Pleasant ever since. The monster is a perfect example of iconic modern American folklore. There's even a Mothman statue in the middle of downtown. Hi. It speaks to the idea that this really is modern folklore. It came from this town. Like, we're staking this spot in this part of the world as Mothman. So they're really uniting Mothman and Point Pleasant and West Virginia. On December 15th, 1967, this paranormal activity culminated in a very real tragedy, the collapse of Silver Bridge. Some claimed Mothman was the cause of the accident. Others say he was actually meant to forewarn the town of the catastrophe. But how do you explain the Mothman phenomenon? Was it an elaborate hoax, or did people simply mistake something real for an imaginary creature? Or maybe it was something truly so bizarre that it just can't be easily explained. I'm Dr. Emily Zarka, and this is Monstrum.
Shout out to Emily.
On November 12th, 1966, in Clendenin, West Virginia, 5 grave
Damn, that was a long ass time ago. That was like 60 years ago.
grave diggers claim to have seen what they describe as a man with wings gliding over their heads. Eyewitness Kenneth Duncan later said the being was gliding through the trees and was in sight for about a minute. But it was here where Mothman became a legend. I'm at the spot of what is widely believed to be the earliest officially reported Mothman sighting, what used to be the West Virginia Ordnance Works munitions plant, better known as the TNT area.
Why all this shit be happening in like the 90s? What if these are just big ass animals?
On November
These niggas are on
15th,
drugs.
1966, two young married couples, Roger and Linda Scarberry and Steve and Mary Millette, were driving around the TNT area when they reportedly spotted what looked like a man with large wings standing in the middle of the road. Steve
Now,
described.
the first thing I thought, oh shit, these niggas found Jeepers Creepers, right? Because I ain't gonna lie, I used to be scared of Jeepers Creepers. Every real nigga was scared of Jeepers Creepers. I used to think that shit was real. That's why I never been to a cornfield to this day.
The creature as being 6 or 7 feet tall, with a 10-foot wingspan and red eyes, about 2 inches in diameter and 6 inches apart. Linda claimed she couldn't see a head or arms, but also saw glowing red eyes when the car headlights hit the figure, who seemed to shy away from the light. Frightened, they quickly sped away from the figure, but
Or it could have been an albino man in the dark. You know what I'm saying? You can't really tell what somebody's skin tone is when it's dark.
shortly after, while traveling along Route 62, they spotted it again. This time, it followed them. They claimed they couldn't shake the creature, even when the car reached speeds as fast as 100 miles an hour.
Damn!
This is Denny Bellamy, the Mason County Visitors Bureau Executive Director.
Danny
Has lived
that
in the
watch is
Point
too
Pleasant,
big.
Mason County area for over 60 years.
I was in the 3rd grade. My neighbors saw it, said there's a 6-foot bird with big red eyes and massive wings, chasing cars in the TNT, and in fact, it kept up with Roger Scarberry's 57 Chevy. It's right on this road. This road, as you can see, is like a drag strip, and that's what Roger Scarberry was doing out here, was drag racing. There were scratch.
Nigga, is that made for 2 cars? Hell no.
And that's what Roger Scarberry was doing out here.
I know I'm not tripping. I know how to drive. No way 2 cars is
racing.
fitting on that.
There were scratch marks on the ceiling of his car, and he was upset
Told you.
and he was scared.
Shaken by the experience, the group drove straight to the sheriff's office to file a report around 2 a.m. that morning. Officers immediately set out to investigate, but by the time they arrived at the TNT site, no evidence of the creature could be found. I'm here at the Point Pleasant Public Library doing some research, looking through their archive. There's a lot of stuff here that I'm super excited to explore. This is a copy of the original Point Pleasant Register of the first Mothman sighting. Wednesday, November 16th, so that would have been the morning after.
Bitch,
Couple
how you
sees
know?
man-sized bird, creature, something. Well, there's drawings. Scarsberry eyewitness sketch of Mothman, verified by others. One of the original eyewitnesses. Both were
That looks like an owl, if you ask me. That's definitely not Jeepers Creepers. You don't mistake Jeepers Creepers for anything else.
slightly pale and tired from lack of sleep during the night following their harrowing experience. If I had seen it while by myself, I wouldn't have said anything, but there were 4 of us who saw it. They speculated that the thing was living in the vacant power plant, possibly in one of the huge boilers. There are pigeons in all the other buildings, but not in that one.
Well, let's just rule out some of the things that we can rule out. Let's look up world's largest bird. Well, ostriches don't fly. It says ostrich, but ostriches can't fly. World's largest bird that flies. Whatever this word is, it's a little small even for me. Let me look it up. So, what they say how big is the bird is? It could have been that. Nah, this is like a duck though. I'm not gonna lie. You don't mistake this for something else. That looks like a nice ass animal. That animal wouldn't chase a car, so I'm gonna rule that one out. What if it was just like a big ass owl or something?
New info.
I
love finding new info. I really do.
This was a top
I'm not trying to
secret
debunk their conspiracy, but who the fuck lives in Virginia?
government facility. They made all the explosives for the atomic bomb. It employed
Where's Virginia
all the people
lit?
from the town. You would come to work here onto a bus that all the windows were blacked out of, so you couldn't see anything of the facility. And they drove you right to where you were working. You did your job. You got back on the bus, and they never saw anything. And the day we dropped the bomb on Hiroshima, they closed the facility. Was it. They were done.
That was Nagasaki.
We're going to go look at the bunkers that give the TNT area its name. It's where they stored the explosives, the TNT and the nitroglycerin.
Ooh, it's creepy.
See, that's some. I can't do that shit. I'm not gonna lie.
This is where they
That's some
stored
white people shit. I don't give a fuck.
and,
I ain't doing. I would never do that shit in my
When we
life.
first started bringing people out here, there were still rusted cans of gunpowder.
So here's definitely some Mothman graffiti. I mean, we have the humanoid structure, we have the wings, the big, you can see two large eyes. Yes, Mothman.
She wanna find that bitch.
I grew up in forests, but there's something about the abandoned building and the legends and the real history that there's a spooky
Yeah, that's some
vibe.
real Maze Runner type shit.
I mean, it's honestly really, really creepy.
Hey, watch out for that mud.
We're walking into one of the buildings that used to be part of the TNT site. So we're gonna go in. We have no idea what's inside. It's pitch black. Let's see what happens. Okay, I don't know how far back it goes. Look at these cool lights. Even though it's small, it's really dark. And I don't know what it was used for, and there's stuff everywhere. Definitely looks like it could be haunted, especially by the workers who used to be here. You never know.
But it's like
Ooh, and I
some
just kicked
dogs
something.
fighting outside, bro.
Okay.
Y'all dogs shut the fuck up.
Now I'm more creeped out not even in that building.
I haven't lost a film crew yet, but you never know out here.
Over the following 3 days after the November 15th
So
sighting,
funny.
at least 8 more people
Bro, so, okay, they talking about a real
over the following
man.
3 days after the November 15th sighting, at least 8 more people reported similar creatures.
My brother said, well, don't look, but there's something there
Mothman
beside the car.
eyewitness.
If I'd rolled my window down, I just could have touched it. And then it jumped on the hood and just sat there and just squatted kind of and looked at us. But it did have the biggest red eyes, and it run right past the car, and it jumped up in the air and just opened up the biggest pretty set of bird wings, because you could see the feathers in it and everything. Just opened them up and just went off in the night like that.
For 1 year, starting in November 1966,
Oh, they really
over
believe this
100
shit.
eyewitnesses
They got a statue of this shit.
reported accounts of the
What if it was
Mothman
an
in
angel?
this area. Almost all agreed
Or a
on the
demon.
same points. The monster was as large or as larger than a big man. It had wings but no feathers
Or a
and took off
Pokemon.
into the air straight like a helicopter, gliding through the sky. Its face was indistinguishable besides 2 large glowing red eyes. The town's population was so intrigued by the creature
They started
that hundreds of
hunting that
local
bitch.
residents, some armed, went hunting
Oh,
for the
that's
winged
tough.
figure.
There was a police officer directing traffic. There was so much traffic out here. One of the sheriff's deputies had to come out.
Newspapers are often the first indicators of an emerging legend. They help rumors become lore as more variations are published and told to the public. Mothman was no exception. He even received his famous title from an anonymous Ohio newspaper copy editor, who likely gave the mysterious bird the name Mothman after the famous comic book character Batman, who was the subject of a popular TV show at the time. Later that month, the Beckley Herald-Dispatch renamed the Mothman as the Mason Bird Monster, but that didn't quite stick.
Freemason.
Were the Mothman eyewitnesses in the 1960s really seeing a monster?
Facts.
Some people certainly saw something in the night sky. The sheer number of sightings might be an example of the psychological and social phenomenon known as mass hysteria. The textbook definition of mass hysteria says it is a form of mass contagion in which an irrational belief or behavior grips a group or community. The size of a small town like Point Pleasant
Also,
offered a unique
so they-
social environment.
Damn, bitch, don't talk over a nigga. So it's like, I look. So the first people that said they seen it, right? Then another group of niggas just like, oh, I seen it too. Now next you know, a bunch of niggas just started believing it. They seen it. I know that nigga. It's like a small town. You know, word definitely travels fast. Some Stranger Things type shit. It's a very small town.
Residents either had a Mothman story
I
themselves
wish I
or
lived in
knew
a
someone
small
who
town.
did, which allowed the story to circulate in a relatively closed inner network that could bolster the belief in the creature. What is undoubtedly very real is the event that stopped the Mothman sightings of the 1960s. On December 15, 1967, exactly 13 months after the first reported sighting of Mothman, an estimated 31 cars and trucks plunged into the Ohio River after the bridge connecting Ohio and West Virginia collapsed. 64 people went into the water. 46 of them died.
Damn, Chad, look, let me tell y'all niggas something. I had a dream, bro. I told y'all niggas I be having strange dreams sometimes. This is a crazy dream I had. I had a dream. I swear to God, right hand, this is real. I had a dream. I was in Philadelphia with Lil Uzi. It was in like a drift car. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know what Philadelphia really looks like, but I just know like it was night. The roads were slippery, but we was drifting on purpose. You know, if you know how to drive this shit, you love when it's wet outside. So we drifting. Next thing you know, we drift too hard. We fucking, he was like, hey, you want to go back to the house, get like your water bottle or some shit. I was like, nah, I'm good. We drifting. We drift too hard. We on a bridge though. We hit the sidewall of the bridge. We go over. Car plummets into the water. Now it's slowly filling up. You know how like the movies and shit. And I'm like, oh shit. I think Uzi already died. I'm not gonna lie. Rest in peace. I think he already died. I don't really remember what happened to that nigga. I just know the water was filling up. And then like I was just like, I kind of like panicked. And then I was trying to take my seatbelt off. The seatbelt finally came off. Now I'm in the back trying to get out. Couldn't get out. But then I drowned. But you know, like when you die in your dreams, if you ever had a dream where you died, you wake up soon as you die. I don't know. Maybe you don't. But as soon as I died, I woke up. And this is one of the bitches where you wake up like, I was tripping. First thing I do, look up how to escape a drowning car. So now I know what to do. Look, you get in a car, right? When the car is fully, if like you can't get the windows down or nothing, or you can't get it, you're not gonna be able to open the door because the pressure. But if you can't get the windows down, just wait till the car is fully submerged on the water, and then you should be able to open the door like it's nothing. So, you know. And if you can't hold your breath or swim, rest in peace.
It officially ended the Mothman. That's what ended the story.
Yep.
That was it. When the bridge fell, no one wanted to hear about the Mothman anymore.
It was ultimately discovered that a single eye bar, 55 feet long, fractured, causing the pin holding it in place to become loose and the tragic chain of events to follow.
What you said, bitch?
The pin holding it in place to become eye bar, 55 feet long, fractured, causing the pin holding it in place to become loose and the tragic chain of events to follow. Survivors and witnesses recall that the bridge shook violently before it collapsed. Some even say they saw Mothman on the bridge days before. This is really where the myth of the Mothman as a harbinger of death started. Was he a warning to the townspeople, or a cursed being bringing destruction with him? Some people speculated that Mothman and the bridge collapse had something to do with a rumored legend known as the Curse of Cornstalk. A Shawnee leader of the allied indigenous people, Chief Cornstalk and his men fought in the Battle of Point Pleasant against colonial troops in 1774. Local legend in Point Pleasant said that with his dying breath, Cornstalk cursed the town for 200 years. Some people even speculated that the Mothman was sent by Cornstalk himself from beyond the grave. But in 2006, it was revealed that the rumored Curse of Cornstalk was nothing more than a myth. A rediscovered historical pageant play was found in an old grade school in Point Pleasant that includes Cornstalk's curse. Most likely, the playwright added it in to give the performance a little more drama.
And the energies of its people paralyzed by the stain of our blood. So saying, he fell dead by the side of his son. There's the curse.
Right.
Maybe the Mothman sightings can be explained by something from the natural world. It was proposed early on that the Mothman was actually a sandhill crane, when a West Virginia University professor told the press in an article published December 1st, 1966, quote, "I definitely believe that's what these people are seeing."
This is the sandhill crane. Dr. Robert Smith of the West Virginia University Biology Department said the description fits that of a sandhill crane.
Sandhill cranes have an average wingspan of around 6.5 feet and are about 3 to 4 feet tall. They also happen to have red patches around their eyes. But Dr.
Come on, bro. I told y'all niggas.
For Z, you may be wondering, do sandhill cranes ever make it to West Virginia? The answer is yes. Because I am a crazy bird person and this Mothman thing was driving me insane, I contacted the Cornell Lab of Ornithology for sandhill crane data from the 1960s. While they couldn't give me anything from that time period, I did find that sightings of sandhill cranes happen today. At least 28 of them have been spotted in West Virginia.
Man, I told y'all them niggas was off them drugs, bro. Cause I ain't gonna lie, there's no way you're mistaking that for no damn Mothman. Like, even if it was night, I know what a bird looks like.
Between January 2017 and August 2019, sometimes in large groups. Brenda Knight, the sister-in-law of one of the November 15 witnesses, said, quote, "We all thought it was a mutant sandhill crane because of the toxins in the swamp." Maybe Brenda was onto something. She wasn't the only one to think that illegally dumped chemicals had caused animal mutations. The munitions plant that gave the TNT area its name was built during World War II to produce and store explosives from 1942 to 1945. After the war, much of the land was given to the Department of Natural Resources. It became a wildlife reserve in 1966 and is now called the McClintock Wildlife Management Area. The mutation theory might have a little more validity to it than some of the other explanations. In 1981, a redwater seep was discovered in the area, which led to the realization that contamination had occurred. The red water is a result of a cold water and cellite mixture used to rinse the TNT. According to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the red water was discharged directly to the Ohio River through a pipe located about 1 foot offshore.
Yo, I'm thinking about like just the vision and shit, right? Bro, y'all know like those, like, if you ever watched a show called The 100, right? Now, let's talk about the first 4 seasons. The rest, I stopped watching. It got crazy. Niggas started going to new planets, and niggas started finding, like, it's okay if you find different civilizations, but they was doing way too much. Like, bruh, every show that started off like on like a zombie apocalypse or like the world destroyed and they had to come back has like always been 10 out of 10 banger. And I'm just thinking, like, is there a game like that? Like, we need a game like, I mean, niggas may say Ark Survival, but Ark Survival is like dinosaur shit.
After becoming part of the National Priority List in 1983, cleanup became the focus and groundwater extraction
like a
was
game
completed
like that would
in
be hard as
1997.
fuck.
So how could you explain Mothman's infamous glowing red eyes?
Fuck it, the 100
Another type
game.
of bird was quickly thrown out as a possible explanation to the humanoid flying creature, one known for its silent nocturnal flights. Owls. It's always owls. Birds' eyes appear red when a bright light is shined at them because of the vascular membrane that shows through the pigment layer of the retina, an effect referred to as eye shine. One owl is known for its very dramatic eye shine. The barred owl is a large species with a rounded head common throughout the southeast that prefers to roost in old trees and open forests. Extra blood vessels around their eyes make them glow more red than other species. Officials at the McClintock Wildlife Management Area told the Audubon Society, who also looked at owls as an explanation for Mothman, that the area has a healthy population of this species. Some people in Point Pleasant argue that Mothman was really just a lost weather balloon or even an elaborate hoax. A local rumor exists alongside Mothman himself, one about a local teenage prankster who found it fun to jump out at cars driving at night in the TNT area while wearing a Halloween costume. Hoaxes like these could have happened on more—
Bitch, they said the nigga was flying. No little ass kid is gonna like, bro, you don't like, bro, niggas, we talk about real Mothman legend shit, bitch. Like, we're not talking about none of them games you talking about. Bro, what they're describing is, let me talk with my hands so you know it's serious. What they're describing is a fucking, however long they said the monster was, red glowing eyes, and it took off like on some angel shit, and it was low-key like a human.
More than one occasion, but that doesn't really explain the Mothman phenomenon. You're probably wondering how we've gotten this far without mentioning the Mothman prophecies. Written by John Keel, the book and its 2002 film adaptation are the most important texts for how the legend took root outside of Point Pleasant. Keel was a journalist and paranormal investigator who went to Point Pleasant in December 1966 to explore the Mothman and other supernatural sightings in the area. He interviewed a lot of the original witnesses and even claimed to have experience with what he calls ultra-terrestrials. I read the whole thing, and it's a doozy. Honestly, the book seems more concerned about UFOs and men in black than Mothman. Regardless of how factual the Mothman prophecies is, or not, the 1975 book and the movie did have one indisputable result. They made Mothman globally recognized and turned the town of Point Pleasant into a tourist destination.
Quite frankly, I mean, there's only one Mothman and there's only one Point Pleasant. People were really interested in that, although I wasn't. And actually the town wasn't. The town didn't believe it, although there kept on being sightings. The newspaper kept writing about it, but it was mostly tongue-in-cheek. It was all that. Quite frankly, still is today for most. One time someone said, we'd like to talk to some people that don't believe in the Mothman. I said, pick anyone on Main Street.
1 year after the movie came out, they erected a statue of him on Main Street in 2003.
We're dedicating the statue, and we're all kind of, the mayor and everyone's kind of like, oh, geez, you know. The mayor has to speak at the dedication. I go over to see what's going on. I have to come back. I said, you probably ought to put a suit and tie on. He said, what's going on? I said, CBS is here. CBS Sunday morning. Bill Geist is out there. That's Willie Geist's father, and that's how it started. When Bill Geist showed up, I became a Mothman believer that day. And I haven't slowed down since.
In 2005, a whole Mothman museum opened up. Created by Jeff Walmsley, Point Pleasant resident and local Mothman expert, it sees thousands of visitors a year.
A lot of the movie props that we have here in the museum were donated, and that was kind of like the catalyst to get the museum going. The Mothman Festival was started back in 2002. It's a big boom to the tourism here. I mean, with the festival.
Y'all niggas ain't looking for real shit,
people have embraced it. You know, you still have skeptics, which is fine. I mean, you know, I'm not out to convince anybody of anything. I mean, everything in the museum is for people to decide for themselves.
They weren't sure that they really wanted the Mothman in our town, but the Mothman Festival grew every year. We had to. They were all coming.
Damn,
that choice. Tourism has grown and grown, and our entire state has embraced it now. That is, in 1 weekend a year, the entire town will tell you anything you want to know about the Mothman. And we just enjoy looking at everybody. And it's entertaining for us.
How much money is made, on average, now at least, for Mothman?
Probably $2 million flows down our Main Street on that weekend, which is probably more than the rest of the year. You know,
we attract 10 to 12,000 people. So the town's
that
population doubles. You know, the local people, they're used to it. I mean, they're used to the attention and everything. And don't get me wrong, Point Pleasant has a lot to offer rather than just Mothman, you know. Native American history, riverboat history, farm museum, river museum, all that kind of stuff. To me, I think, you know, the Mothman story is just a nice way to get people attention. They come here and they're like, oh, you know, we got the flood wall murals, you know, we got the river museum. I don't see anything negative about it, you know.
With the help of the internet, Mothman has become a global phenomenon. Online rumors circulate frequently, some claiming that he was spotted before the Chernobyl disaster and even in the smoke of the towers at 9/11. Most recently, the largest number of Mothman sightings in one area occurred in Chicago in 2017. There were more than 20 reports of a winged humanoid in Chicago from April to July of that year.
Ain't no nigga seen it.
Whether you believe in him or not, Mothman has become a cultural touchstone, a monster myth that inspires both fear and fascination. Legends only truly take root when they become a subject of conflicting opinions. They are born in stories told and retold with countless contradictions, additions, and disputes. Mothman is no different. He's been demonized and deified in almost equal measure. Mothman shows us how a local phenomenon can become a global sensation. People identify with Mothman. He's a rumor and an outcast, a monster who was ultimately embraced by the small town that once feared him. Whether the people of Point Pleasant like it or not, Mothman is now part of their town's identity. It can even be argued that the people of Point Pleasant embraced the creature because it made their little part of the world visible to a lot more people. Like other small towns, a portion of the town's economic survival depends on its ability to attract outsiders.
Safe to say it's pretty much over. She's going to finish off everything she said and just review it again. It's up to you to believe in the Mothman, the nigga man, the black man, all of them. Me, I believe them niggas are I believe them niggas was tripping.
Bye. Have a beautiful time.